All right, hey, it's Jack and Toby back for some more exercises. Today we got some special exercises for you. We just went outside, we did these exercises. You're gonna see the exercise on the video outside. It's like 100 degrees, I'm sweating. But listen, these exercises really work the hip muscles, the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes. These are called Limber 11, and they're by a guy named Joe DeFranco. Toby's been doing them. I just started today, and just what I just felt made me feel like I'm gonna do these for the next month and test this out. So Toby's gonna explain the exercises to you. You're gonna see them on the video. Here's the thing, they're difficult. And so there's some of you at home that are not gonna be able to do this. The first time I tried one of them, I caught a cramp and fell out into the grass. So, don't feel bad. And when you watch me, you're gonna see not the perfect form because I'm pretty tight, but do what you can do. Do as many as you can do them slowly, concentrate on the stretch, concentrate on your breathing, and I promise you it's gonna make a difference. So this is Limber 11.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. Just like Doc said, Limber 11 is one of the top trainers in the world. This guy called Joe DeFranco, he's trained over 50 professional athletes, even some WWE superstar guys that play handball. And a friend of mine actually challenged me to it, and I took it on for 30 days, and I have seen the big improvement that it's done for me. So I'm just gonna explain them one by one throughout this exercise. The key thing to this exercise is you wanna follow the order of how it's presented. You can't do one and then do another and go over, because the whole point for the hip mobility, there's a lot of parts of our muscles that are activated and working in order for us to have loose hips. So the first one is the IT band foam roller. So you need to get yourself, actually you can start with the equipments that you need. A foam roller, a massage ball, could be a lacrosse ball, could be a golf ball, a tennis ball, if you have it.
Don't do an egg.
Do not do an egg. That's the ball you don't want to use. And the chair. Honestly, with just these three equipments, that's all you need to get this exercise done. And a desire. That's the biggest equipment
Absolutely.
you need, with a desire to do that. So with the foam roller, as you're going through that and you're rolling through it, the key thing is just stay where you're at. There's a modified way of doing it, and when you do the modified way, one leg will go in front of the other, and you can keep that feet right on the ground while you're going back and forth through that IT band. And once
this is what we're stretching right here. This is the IT band here. It goes from the hip to the knee, the iliac to the tibia, so IT.
Yeah. So you just go back and forth as you're rolling that through. What would happen when you do that is you're gonna find some sweet spots. You're gonna find some areas
or not so sweet spots.
Or not so sweet spots. Some spots that would be decently uncomfortable. What you wanna do then is to stay on that spot and then just bend and lengthen that knee back and forth, and maybe 2, 3, 4 times while controlling your breathing. It's really important, because if you tense up because they're difficult and you don't breathe, it makes your muscles get even tighter. So you have to control that, stay on that for a little bit, and then lengthen your knee back and forth, bend it through, and then go back to rolling that out easily as you go through that. Anything else you think about with that IT band there?
I think that's like he said, start out with the modified where your foot's balancing, and then go to the more advanced where both feet are on it. And I mean, it's uncomfortable, but you're stretching that out, and the more you do it, the looser it's going to be. That will not only help with knee pain, hip pain, but back pain. If your IT bands are tight, you don't know it, but you're kind of walking forward, and it puts strain on your back.
So then the next one is the adductors, IT band row. So that is where you work more of the groin area. So just as you do the outside right here, you gotta do the inside as well, because all this part, they all make up this hip. They have a lot to do with that. So as you do that, you lay on it and you roll it as well. Again, always start with the modified version. And the modified version one is where you can keep your elbows to the ground. This goes right on top of it there. And as you roll through, you don't have to super elevate yourself to where it's too difficult. Just stay relaxed on it and then just go back and forth with it. And if you again find a sweet or not so sweet spot, stay in there for a little bit, deep breathing, and then just bend and lengthen that knee 4 to 5 times through it, and then it will lengthen that out as well.
This one's a little bit awkward. I did it a couple of times before we started video and then did it while we videoing, but it's almost like you're doing you're almost like Spider-Man, really. It's like a Spider-Man push-up if you've ever done that. Your hands are on the ground, this is what you're like, and you're trying to keep your body up with your hands, but you're not doing a straight up push-up. It's more like it's like you're climbing up a wall.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Put on your Spider-Man outfit, give it a go.
The next exercise, this is when you need the ball. This is for the piriformis. We call it the piriformis smash. So with this one, while you sit it, just right in that area, like Dr. Weaver said, your glutes are tight, really tight piriformis. Some of us actually have piriformis syndrome. When all of that is tight and is hard, we have this our pelvic tilt that comes forward, and then we walk this way and we wonder why our lower back hurts. So it's really important when you start this off, from rolling out your IT band to the adductors in there, you get the glutes as well all loose. That would already loosen up all those tight areas that you have for the rest of the exercises to be able to flow. So you have this ball, you just kind of tuck it a little bit into the butt. That leg, that glute that you're stretching will be the leg that will be elevated, and you put that over, and then you just trying to start off maybe cross-sectional, and then you just get around the wall throughout the way. I would really just say just go for around the wall. Then while you do that, you're trying to find those tight spots. That's really the uncomfortable while you're doing that. And then once you find that spot, you just hold it there for like maybe 2-3 seconds. And again, what do? We breathe. We just controlled breathing in through the nose, out through the nose as well. Just nice and easy through that, and then go back to rotating it again. I personally, I do this almost two times a day, like just 3 things. Whenever I'm watching TV and I can just think about my ball, I'll just roll it under there and just keep loosening it because they get really tight. How long do we sit? We sit on our butt.
Yeah.
Most of the time when we're standing, so our muscles are all going tight, and that's what causes pain. So we can always do this to add to that.
The piriformis is a muscle that starts deep in the hip, off the hip bone, and goes to the pelvis. And the sciatic nerve either runs under it or through it. And so if that muscle is tight, a lot of people get sciatic pain that they think is coming from their back, as if they would have a herniated disc, but it's really coming from the hip. And so if you can stretch that, and this is a 2-part thing, it's not just the ball, it's as you'll see on the video, when you're sitting down, this position puts you into the stretch of the piriformis, and that massages it out.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll mention real quick that Toby said that you might not have caught, but it's so important. He said breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Unfortunately, we become mouth breathers in our society. We open our mouth and breathe, but it's so critical when you breathe to breathe in and out through your nose, because you don't blow off as much CO2. And you hold in nitrous oxide, which is good for you. And so if you can think about it, here's what when I go run, I try to breathe in through my nose the whole time. And what I found out was the first day I did that, I made it like 1.5 minutes. But then I got to where I can run 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, and never open my mouth. You have to train yourself to that, but it's so critical. So when you find yourself breathing through your mouth, close your mouth, breathe through your nose. It fills the lungs better, it holds on to the CO2 better, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Very good, thank you. This way we get into more of the exercises and we start loosening the hips, lower back and all. It would be the bend over, the iron bell. This is when you go straight, look like you're in a crucifix with both legs up, knees bent, feet together, and you're gonna slowly drop one to the side. As it's going down, you're gonna look the opposite way. And then you come back up gradually, go the opposite way, you're gonna look to the other side. And as you do it, it's very important you start slow. But as you continue those repetitions, they need to speed up. And you really 5 reps on each side. That would, you start seeing the difference in that the minute you start doing that. So the key thing though is you don't want to go straight up and just keep going back and forth. You have to have it nice and controlled to start with, as it goes to one side and the other, and the head is going the opposite way as you're doing that. And then you start going a little faster, little faster, little faster. It should feel more loose than a rapid movement through that.
One thing you'll notice in the video, I think the second time I went through, my head didn't go.
Yeah.
So this is the thing about this. I'm always talking to people about meditation and mindfulness and being in the moment. When you do these exercises, concentrate on exactly what you're doing. We were outside, there were cars going by, I was getting a little distracted at times. but try to block everything else out and concentrate, and that puts you in the one you're going to get a better stretch.
And then the next one would be a rollover to V stretch. This is fun. I love this one. I think you enjoyed that one too.
I did.
So on that one, again, everything you do, start it off slowly first. Get those. You're gonna introduce your muscles, those joints, to what you're about to put them through. Because what recruits first is the muscle spindle, and the muscle spindle wants to protect the muscles. It takes a little while before you recruit those Golgi tendons that lengthen the muscles. So if you just go immediately wrapping it, the muscle is just going to restrict, and that's what causes cramps or causes tightness or pull. You have to introduce your muscle and your joints to what you're trying to do. So it's really crucial. We keep saying you start off slowly and then speed it up. There's a reason for that. So with that, you lay back, feet out. You're gonna pick your feet up and then go roll over like you're trying to get your feet to touch the floor behind your head, and then you're gonna roll back forward with your legs spread out into a V, and you're gonna reach as far as you can to the floor. Your flexibility might not let you touch the floor immediately. That is perfectly okay. What to look for though is the more you're going backwards, it should be more lengthening, and the more you're going forwards, it should also be more lengthening. What do I mean by that? That means your legs should almost be getting closer to the floor than it was previously. And then your hands should be going further than it was previously. And you do that back and forth about 6 to 8 reps. And that would also start getting those hips and the lower back especially looser. How did you find that one?
I really enjoyed that one, but it's one that you have to really be under control, because one thing I was thinking as I was doing it, if you get going too fast and go back too far, you'll really strain your neck. So you have to be controlled.
Yeah. The next one is the hydrants to the hip circles, okay? So for this one, some people, and again, if you're advanced, challenge yourself, but our main target is to always start modified. Just do modified, and then you can start pushing yourself to get to the advanced level. So we really recommend do one hip, do the other hip. Go to one, go to the other. Don't try to do the hindrance on one hip, then go to the circle on one hip and go to the other circle on one hip. That will cause a lot of hip pain over time. So you would see, like in the video, because we was going with one hip, and that is so crucial. You're in all fours, the core is engaged, both hands and both knees are touching the floor, and you suck that body in as if you were about to get punched in your gut, and then you lift one hip up, and all the movement is coming from that localized hip. It's not the whole hip. You don't want to tilt over. You just want to go out and in, out and in on that hydrant. Once you do that on the right, do it on the left as well. And what you don't want to do is what, Dr. Weaver? On the hydrant, what you don't want to do.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah, because you lean over.
Yeah, we actually showed that on the video,
Yes,
where you
we did.
lean way over and you're just not getting the motion.
Right movement in there.
Plus you're going to strain your other hip and your knee.
Exactly. And then something else I have seen is some people are wanting to really see how far the hip can go, and they're really leaning over and it's going out there. It doesn't really do much. It's important, it's nice and controlled. So once you do that, open out, in, out, and in. After you do that, then you go into the circles. And with the circles, it's like we talked about it, it's almost as if you're drawing a small circle to a bigger circle and a bigger circle and a bigger circle to a bigger circle. So you start off small, just 5 on each side, then draw another circle so that looks more here to there to there to there. So you exaggerate it each time, and you would feel it already, especially after starting with rolling out and stretching and feeling all those tight spots, loosening. You start seeing the massive increase in your mobility as you do that. And as you do it on the right, do it on the left as well with that. Do you have something to add to the circle one?
I mean, that one is really, if you've got tight hips, you really feel that, and that's what's the key about starting small, because if you start too big, you're just not, so you start small, work your way out, be stable on there, don't lean. It's a big tendency to try to lean.
Yeah. The next one is the frog stretch. I guess we should say the of the quadruped as well, because there are multiple ways of the frog stretch.
Right, I did the wrong one.
You just sit down over. but it's you go on all fours, and then it's crucial that your feet are turning out. So your toes should be turning laterally, and your heel should be touching the floor too. And then you kind of first support, and again, like we said, introduce those muscles, let them know what you're trying to do with them. And as you go into that, you fall to your elbows, almost like a plank position, and then you rock up and back, up and back, up and back into the stretch. As you sit back into the stretch, you would feel it because it goes right into your groin. You want to pause for like 2 seconds when you're in that groin stretch, and then you lengthen out, then you go back into it a little bit, then you lengthen out. And again, really important that you're breathing throughout all the stretches and have it nice and controlled. How many reps would you say?
I think on that, I mean, that one really feels good. I think I'd at least do 8 or so. And slow. And when you get down, you know, like in the squat position, hold it for a couple of seconds, let it really stretch. And those, getting your feet externally rotate your hips, and you're not going to get as much of a stretch if your feet aren't out like that.
Yeah.
And it feels unnatural, but that's where you want to be.
Right. The next one is the mountain climbers or the groiners. So this is a very famous exercise. People do it to work out. It's a core exercise and stuff. But for this, we have to remember this is a mobility drill. This is a stretching and mobility exercise. So for this one, again, you have to start off nice and controlled. Breathing is really important. So you start off on your fours again, but this time the knee is gonna come off the floor, and you stay in a good core position. So almost like a high plank is how you start it. Then your right leg is gonna jump to your right elbow. But as you do that, you're gonna sink the left hip down to make sure you're stretching that hip flexor. And then you bring that feet back and you switch to the other side. And again, as you keep going forward with the repetitions, it starts to go faster because you are warming those legs up and you're putting them through the drill to get more mobility in those hips. And for this as well, we say probably 6 to 8 on both sides.
Yeah.
Should be nice and easy. Shouldn't be too difficult. Most of us should be able to do that.
I think so.
As long as we can hold ourselves up, almost like in a high plank push-up position, and you just drop the hip and you switch back and forth with that one.
Thing to remember on that is, if any of you guys have ever done videos like on Beachbody or any kind of HIIT video, you've probably done these groiners, but you've done them probably in a fashion to be a cardio. You're doing them fast, you're getting the heart rate up. These that we're showing you on this can be done as a cardio, but if you do it as cardio and you're really fast, you're not getting the stretch. So once you get that foot up there to your hand, really drop that other hip, feel the stretch, and then pop back and into the other one and concentrate that this is more of a stretch, well, the way we're doing it, than a cardio.
Yeah.
Even though it does work your cardio, it's all the way to do it. So I mean, you can do it both ways.
Exactly. Next one is the Cossack Squats. This one is a little challenging. It's quite challenging.
Yeah, with your balance.
With your balance,
Yeah.
if you're not that flexible, if you have tight hips, tight lower back, you're not able to get into the right position with it. But again, it's everybody can do it because it's based on your flexibility, not mine, not Dr. Weaver's. It's based on yours. So the key thing is to start off modified. Dr. Weaver, you want to explain that?
So I mean, you can use a foam roller like this. You can use a couple of yoga blocks. You can use a chair, and you know this is for your balance. So when you get into the position and your feet are turned out and you're going into this deep squat, if you've got this that you can start with, you know, as opposed to just balancing like you will be, this definitely helps you if you have issues with balance.
Right. And the key thing with that is while you're in that squat position and low, you're just gonna move to one side, rock to the other side. And as you do that, key things to remember is the foot that you're stretching, the feet needs to be pointing up to the ceiling or up to the sky if you're doing it outside. And as you go to the other way, same thing, it needs to be pointing up to the sky. And what's crucial is that standing one where you are stretching, the heel needs to be on the ground. So the heel is not lifted up. So if I kind of create a little look here of what it shouldn't look like, what you don't want to do is this, and then lengthen that out. This is not what's gonna make it work. You need to be in here, use the block there, and as I lengthen here, I need to keep this heel down as that stretches up. Try to stay as erect as possible, and then roll over to the other side there. How did you find that one?
That's tough. It's a balance issue on that one. If you have to be slow and it's
Control.
a great stretch, but you do have to
Super great.
start out with a block, a yoga block, something, so you're not
All over the place.
wobbling around. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's more on the dynamic part of the exercise. Then the last two is more of a static exercise. One is the seated piriformis stretch. And as we were starting to talk about that earlier, I'll let you
That's
talk
just
more on that one later.
I mean, that's just real simple.
Yeah, just right in there. Very crucial to push that knee out. So you have to be in a good position, sit up. This can be done at work. If you're typing for quite a while, you've been sitting in there a little bit, you just remember it, or you kind of feel a little bit of tightness in there, just move your chair out a little bit, cross that leg out there, push that knee out, stretch that piriformis. Because that's really what the killer is that muscle underneath that hip that just gets tighter and hard. That's what really causes a lot of those back pains and stuff like that through. So while you're at work, you can just take that time while you're watching TV. The minute you know you're sitting for way too long, you can always sit back there and stretch that out with that. And you really want to hold it. Again, remember, when you start the stretch, don't lean all the way into it. You have to be patient with it. It takes about 20-30 seconds before those muscles starts lengthening. So you really want to hold it for about a minute. It takes about a minute for you to really get a proper stretch. So as you start off and you're stretching it in there, you will notice in the video, Dr. Weaver then started to lean forward, because that's when you're now really lengthening that muscle back there. But at first, you can't just do it and then lean forward immediately. You pull something, and something's gonna hurt. So you have to introduce them first, hold that out, push the knee out, And as you can see, it get released a little bit, and it may be different. It might be 20 seconds for me, it might be 25 seconds for Dr. Eva, it might be 15 seconds for you. But as you see that you start feeling like it's looser, then you lean forward. And the goal is to see how far your head can go. If your head can touch your shin, then that's perfect. That's super flexibility. But not all of us are that flexible. You just gotta do what you can do. And once you do that on the left, you do that on the right as well. Yep.
The thing about that one is, if you're going to look at these videos, and there's going to be some people out there that are going to be saying, I can't do this stuff. But this is the one you can do.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there that can't sit in a chair, cross their leg over, and do that stretch. Now, I have patients that come in and say, I can't cross my leg. If you can't cross your leg, put it down here.
There you go.
You can always get some position. So if you're somebody at home that says, I can't do these 11 exercises, start with that one and see what you can progress to.
That's perfect. Last one. This is the juggler. This is the rear foot elevated hip flexor stretch. So with this one, again, and we figured this out while we were doing it outside. There's actually a protocol to how you start this stretch in the very first place, because it can be very difficult if you don't start off the right way. So we actually broke it down to the most modified way to engage yourself in this stretch. And that is with both hands can be on the floor, with both knees on the floor. Then you lift one foot up and rest that feet right on top of the chair. And as you rest that against the chair, your forearm is gonna come resting on the knee that is brought forward. Actually, the knee gotta come forward first, doesn't it?
Yep.
And then as that knee comes forward, you rest your forearm on that knee. Keep that hand still on the ground with that feet elevated, resting on the chair. And all you have to do is just squeeze that glutes of the limb that you're trying to stretch. And just wait on that a little bit, you would immediately find that stretch. You will start stretching up. As easy as it gets, and you want to test yourself, then you can start working towards taking that hand off the floor and almost getting into an upright position to stretch that too. I did remember this. The key thing not to do is to overextend your back, because people tend to think this is how you stretch your hip flexor. You gotta come all the way back here and push the hip all the way forward. Whereas just me being here, if I squeeze my glutes, there it is. I can feel it straight away from that. So if I'm not even able to get to this position and I need to be here to where I hold something, if I keep my body elevated there and this glute is out and I squeeze it, there it is. I can feel it just like that. So that's something I think would be really good to remember on how to really stretch that hip, even while you're standing. If you get in this position here and you're pushing forward and you squeeze the glutes, that's, yeah, there it is. And then you can feel that as well. So when you're doing that exercise, don't overextend or feel like you're not gonna feel the stretch unless you do that. Think more about the glutes. It's all in the glutes. And what you do for the right, you do the same for the left. And that's the limber 11, step by step.
Understand what you're stretching. On that one, concentrate on that hip flexor, and when you feel that, you're in the right position.
Exactly.
Hey, give it a try, see what you can do. Do the ones you can do and see how you do it. I told Toby, he said he did it for 30 straight days. I told him I'm gonna take the challenge. I'm gonna do them for the next 30 days. So when you watch this video, try it out and see what you do. You know why?
Right.
Because we moyo everywhere we go, and it's time to
That's right.
Because you know why? We're all athletes. It's just some of us are in training and some of us aren't. So get in training. All right?
That's right.